Hi, everyone. We're the Rebel Crow Psychic Show with your host, Athena Silver.
Hi, I'm Anja River.
Welcome back from our break. We are finally back, and we are going to be talking about all the spiritual and witchcrafty things that we've done while we've been missing for 2 weeks. If you come back, we are going to get into it in just a second. Aren't you excited, Anja?
Oh, this is going to be fun. I'm glad to be back. So everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
And we're back. Let's get into tonight's episode and talk about the witness protection system that we were in the past 2 weeks when we went off the grid and nobody knew where we went. What have you been doing, Anja? How's you keeping yourself busy?
First of all, hey girl, because we didn't talk at all during the break.
I know. Well, I went off the grid and I'll get into why later.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, it's been a couple of weeks. Oh, what a whirlwind though. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I don't know. Around the time when we actually did break, it was around the Scorpio full moon. And I feel like my life got torn apart. It was a very good time to take a break because I feel like my life just got torn apart. And it, coincides with some other astrological events that are happening. And man. So do you ever have those times where when stuff like that happens and you're like, okay, I definitely am giving myself permission to go down that hole? Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's times. There's definitely times this week, this past couple of weeks that we've been missing, I have just been feeling so tired and so worn out by everything that's going on. I even temporarily started watching the news for a little while there and I had to stop it again.
Yeah.
I haven't really watched much of the news in the past couple of years up until recently, with all the, trying to stay current with all the crazy events and everything that's coming up nowadays. I feel like I needed to go off the grid again to recharge my batteries because it's just so toxic out there nowadays.
I feel like, and I don't know if this is just for me, so tell me if you've experienced it or if anybody's watching, does time feel like it's sped up in the past month?
Yeah.
Something shifted where, and I've learned something really good. So, right up front, I feel like the time shifted. I feel like things are speeding up. I feel like we are being asked to do a lot more than we had done before. And part of that is earthly reasons, we're coming out of being quarantined and now we have these new things that we acclimated ourselves to and all the old things that were being asked of us from before. And it just sort of feels like we're being stretched really thin and being asked to sort of level up in all the areas of our lives, which is tough.
I also, to that point, I feel like there are a lot of things that people are noticing and putting their foot down and going, we're not going back to this time around. There's a lot of people, especially for instance, for personal rights and especially with how much you make. And those sorts of conversations are being started again. And I think that it's coming from a place of, ownership of their personal sovereignty, people are going, all right, I did that last time and it got me here and I got massively screwed. And now I need to go forward and I'm not doing it by the same rules. And I think that a lot of that came from this pandemic.
Definitely.
We worked ourselves up to this point. And I feel like now that we got here, it's now okay, we have to go back into the world, but how are we going to do it?
Yeah.
And how are we going to do it justly?
There's definitely for me, I feel like there's a lot of crossover, not to say that there hasn't been a tremendous amount of pain and suffering that's happened, but I feel like there's a bit of a crossover with coronavirus and the awakening of humanity and
Absolutely.
like, you know, again, I'm going to say the leveling up. I don't know why that's on my mind today. I've said it like 6 times. but you know, I feel like that's the stage where I'm at, and I think that a lot of other people are at, like, where we're being asked to rise and you know, just get to the next point.
I think,
you know,
very importantly, it's asking us what we actually value individually. Whereas I don't think people were looking at it from that perspective. I think that we got in that perspective from thinking single-mindedly through this pandemic of, you know, thinking about how am I going to survive and stay well? How am my family going to survive and stay well? And I think that that mentality is being put on a lot of things that weren't that way pre-pandemic. You know, again, with what we're willing to do, what we're not willing to do, you know. And I think that it gave us a lot of perspective on our own power and what we want for our own lives, you know. And I can tell you one of those things, I am very happy to say that I have been able to garden freely and unobstructedly this whole entire break. I was able to put my garden in and fix up everything from last year and prune everything and I expanded it. Like, I am good to go for the season. You know, that was one of the big goals I had for this break.
That's awesome.
Every time I put my garden, like, first of all, I'll tell you, I have been like fantasizing about this garden all winter long. Anja can attest to that. So being able to like finally put hands in dirt felt really good. You know, I felt like a very peaceful the next day and afterwards. Like, I felt like just really good. And since I put my garden in, I've just been sitting outside and just meditating, just a lot more in tune with myself. You know, I needed time to like recalibrate.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. I did a little bit of gardening too. I have to get lazier with my gardening, unfortunately, because we're back to, you know, like some of these other tasks that are like coming up. But I did find grow boxes, so you don't have to water them. You just plant them and
that's
leave
nice.
them.
Yeah,
it's necessary for me. Like, I need these shortcuts, you know.
Yeah. I've even been thinking about trying different styles of gardening, like gardening cactus and like house plants. I don't have a whole lot of house plants, so I was thinking about doing some house plants.
Mine are all edible.
Well, my outside plants are.
I always feel like a plant murderer when I say that. Like, people, I have a friend who has all these house plants too, and she's asking me about mine, and I'm like, oh, mine are all food. You know?
Yeah, okay, Jeffrey Dahmer.
I know. I know. It's like, not terrible, but it feels weird.
It does. No, I know what you mean. Cause like I tell people, oh, all these herbs are medicinal. And they're like, medicinal for what? And I'm like, well, what's wrong with you? Like, let's see. But if you guys didn't see our previous gardening video, we planned our gardens, you should check back. It's a couple of episodes back. I think you'd really like it. We talk about what's actually in our garden. And I'll tell you that a lot of the stuff that we talked about, I actually planted this year. So
good job. Yeah. So I also had a reading done, which was really, really good.
Ooh, tell me about it.
Yeah, it was totally one of those spontaneous things. Like, one of my favorite readers. Wow, that's incredibly intense. And it was cool because she mixed the tarot and the astrology, and I like that. I love that a lot. Kind of like pointed me into that direction of, you know, okay, we're on a break, and then this stuff comes in, and this reading was incredibly intense, and like, maybe I need to go back and like work on my astrology again, pick that up, study it deeper, you know. So it was good. Like I feel like sometimes you need to have that quiet space to have sort of like, okay, what's your next, where are we going next, where are we doing again, leveling up, like right? Yeah,
it's important, you know. It helps keep you on track and, you know, put you on your game. I've been doing a lot of learning and working with one of my mentors this time, this break. Working on my own spiritual life, privately. Like, that's the thing with me is I talk about spirituality a lot. I am a lover of all things spiritual. But when it comes to my actual path, I keep it very close to the chest. I don't really like to talk about exactly what I'm doing, because to me, with spirituality, it's personal and it's very private, and it means a little bit more to me in that way. It's something that I like to keep the door closed on. But when I do share about it is coming from the heart, and it's usually when you do have readings and stuff like that, when you are working spiritually, you do get an idea from your guides, what's good to share and what's not, and that's definitely like a lesson I've been learning lately, is about, what's okay to share and what's not. And with working on my spiritual path, I feel like I have kind of found myself in exactly where I need to be. And I've just been really thankful to find that spot and to be working with this person. And it's been really rewarding,
That's good.
Like, I feel like when you are a spiritual teacher, you've always got to have teachers that you're learning from, like you've got to constantly be evolving and transforming and doing more things and, seeing what else is out there. So it's like, I feel like once I get to a certain place in one tradition, I'm like, let's learn another thing, let's go, and granted, it leads me to a lot of cool places, but it's been nice to slow down and focus on one tradition again. So
yeah, it's funny because I feel like you and I are in exact opposite places with that right now, because I'm dissolving some relationships with teachers, not dissolving, but like sort of like I have gotten to the point where I feel like, we've gotten what we needed here, and now it's time to move. So I'm sort of like rudderless at the moment, not rudderless, but you know what I mean.
Coasting.
Like we're going like, okay, this is the end of the cycle. It's time for something new, but maybe just like chill for a bit, like just like integrate.
For me, it's very much like I like doing several things at once. So I'm always learning multiple avenues. And I notice that it makes me focus hyperly sometimes on certain tasks, but it's like I feel like I understand things deeper because I compare them to the other things that I know. So I feel like I'm painting like a 3D picture as opposed to a 2D picture.
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, they're doing my thing. Monitoring the crazy TikTok drama in the Witchcraft community. Oh boy. Oh my God. Can we just talk about that for a minute? That is a hot, heaping garbage fire over there.
Oh, tell me.
Oh my God. I mean, I will say I am on Witchcraft myself, so I'm calling myself out on this too. But there is a lot of like judgments flying everywhere, every which way. You got people talking about closed practices that are not themselves in those closed practices. You got 13-year-olds calling out 45-year-olds for stuff that they've been doing this entire time because it's wrong.
What can we do?
Messy.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's your take on that? Like, is it entertainment? Are you learning something? Like, what are you, is it like the slow accident thing that you're like?
All of the above. Check, triple check. I feel like I learn a lot about who can be trusted and who cannot be trusted. It teaches me a lot of what not to do. Like, looping back to what I said before about being very private about my spiritual life, there are people out there doing like full workings out there in front of everybody, and they're not doing mock-ups. They're doing actual spell work on camera, which y'all know that is a big pet peeve of mine. But it's more than that. You got people talking on stuff they don't know, trying to tell people that do know that they're wrong. There's people that are stealing other people's ideas and not crediting them. It's the Wild West out there on TikTok, like for real. And
yeah,
and it's at the core of it, some of it's jealousy, some of it's ignorance, some of it is just people just purely just don't know. They don't know the difference. They don't know any better.
Well, it sounds like if you're calling a lot of people out for no reason, there's also a lot of unhealed stuff.
There's a lot
that
of
probably
baiting on
needs
there
to get.
too.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to say the person who sent it to me, but somebody sent me a video and has tried to bait me into a fight a couple of times on there.
Really?
Yeah, like, tell me what you think about this. And I'm like, I don't know you like that. So no, I'm not going to tell you what I think,
Wow.
Yeah, like trying to start TikTok beef with me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you don't want beef with me, bro. No, I'm not your girl. Like, I just don't have time for that nonsense. Like, I'll watch casually from the side, see what's going on, but you'll never find me in the thick of it, tearing things up, causing drama. It's just not me,
Yeah.
And I think that that's an important lesson. Like, you see it with some people and not everybody. It's just when you're on that app, a lot of people are doing some dramatic stuff to get noticed.
Yeah.
Because
right.
there's a lot of people out there, but I feel like if that's what you're doing, you're discrediting yourself. You're doing yourself a disservice, because when people do find your content, they're not going to mess around with you because they know that you fall with this one, that will call that other mother, other person, mother something, like it gets messy, and then people don't want to mess with you,
It's also too, like if you get emotionally pulled into some of these dramas, it will just bring your energy down. Like, I mean, it's like stating the obvious, but you change. Like you're in a space where you're connecting and you're doing work and you're doing, what you need to do for you, and then you get pulled into these emotional dramas. Like if you're pulled in emotionally, then that's it, game over. You're not you're not connecting anymore.
And if you're putting it out there that I'll put up with this BS, you're gonna get a whole long line of people testing you to see if you're with it or not, and they're gonna call you on your BS. And it's hard to maintain that, so people are trying to come out more and more with these elaborate stuff, and like rehashing things that don't need to be rehashed. And it's just like, I understand why they're doing it. I just don't agree with it. And I feel like
why?
I feel like it's for clout, and I feel like it's to get noticed. Look at me. But some of it is thoroughly educational. There is some educational value. It's just, you've got to dig through it like you're shopping at Marshall's. Like go through that discount bargain barrel. Hopefully you'll find the other set to that earring. You know what I mean? Hopefully that shirt doesn't have a rip in his name. It's $5, But that's the thing, is like, you can find diamonds. You just have to dig, and like, I have found some really cool people on that app, people that I really mess with them. I watch their content, I talk to them, we interact, we've even traded readings. And like even ideas and stuff, like I've gone on some of their podcasts and stuff. It's been fun. It's just, you've got to really know who you are when you're entering that arena, or you're going to find a lot of nonsense and you're not going to know how to act,
Yeah, I think that's wise advice for any social media, any like presence where you're interacting with a large amount of people coming from all different places and all different, mentalities. And
I feel lucky because I credit not growing up with the internet as what's kept me balanced. Is like, you and I, we were both growing up in a time where we knew before there was the internet. Like I remember typewriters and phones, that had the cord, I've even seen rotary phones. And like living a life like before cell phones and stuff like that. Like, I feel like I have a better sense of who I am because of it, because I didn't have to grow up constantly looking at Kim Kardashian's booty and comparing it to mine. Not going on there and wishing that I was a millionaire, because all I see are successful millionaires. Not going on there trying to figure out my personality when I've got nothing but cults of personality. Each one has its own account, So I kind of feel bad for the kids that are growing up now because they don't have that sense of what the world was like before. And I feel like it's extra hard for them to figure out who they are nowadays because they have so much stacked against them.
Yeah. No, I know. I totally agree with you. And it's kind of mind-boggling because I don't even know if we would have the skills to be able to assist that, because like since we had the transition happen, like I was already like a young adult when social media was like a thing.
Yeah. Same here. After high school was when social media got big. So I wasn't even in high school when social media was big.
Yeah, we were still texting one letter at a time.
Listen, if I could get myself a phone like that nowadays, I miss those phones with buttons. Like the BlackBerry was my favorite. I could text in my pocket. You didn't even know. I could write my whole manifesto. You wouldn't even know.
Yeah, so Athena and I just dated ourselves.
Yes, but you know what? I'm old and proud of it because with age comes wisdom. I see it a lot out there in the streets.
Yeah, I know. I feel you. Maybe that's one of the reasons why, like, maybe it doesn't affect younger people as much in some ways, like the drama, on social media. Not saying like not things that would affect you personally, but like if you see a fight, like sometimes when I see a fight happening on social media, it's got nothing to do with me. I'm just like, like I feel it.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And they're so used to it. Like, everybody fights on social media to them.
Yeah,
they're like, is this fight worth my attention? Because there's a fight over there and they got a garbage can on fire.
I have to be very careful about it because maybe I am more susceptible to feeling that energy. Like
you're empathic.
Nothing to do with me.
Well, I'm good at pushing it away. It's just that when it does crop up and start knocking on my doorstep, I want to handle it a totally different way than the protocol because the protocol to me was in person, where the protocol for them is behind a computer. When you know. But it's hard because, like, especially through that generational divide, like, even just looking at my kids, like how I'm raising my kids, like, I see so many kids just lost in the world of video games. Like, they don't have a clear sense of reality. They're like on this weird borderline of what's real and what's not. And I think that those lines are blurred in a lot of ways. Whereas, like, our generation, we had that distinction because we knew what it was before and what it was after. So it's like, for them, I want to, like, the things that we're advantaged at, they seem to be disadvantaged at. And it's because they had more access to these things than we had, Just something I noticed. I don't think it's evil, and I don't think you should be taking it away from your kids or whatever. I feel like it is unique to every kid, Some kids do really well with it. Some kids, it's detrimental. So it's like, you really got to go off what's right for them. But overall, though, I think it makes it a lot harder for them to figure out what's real, for themselves. And your personality is all based off of perspective of what's real to you. So it's like, if you think everything is built in cube form like Minecraft, getting a real job is not just cashing in all those coins you got, It's like, you got to earn your money, there's like that divide there,
I will say, though, I do think this is the most interesting time to be alive ever. Absolutely. In the existence of the human, the human history.
I don't agree with that statement. I feel like the end of the Roman Empire could have been really interesting.
Okay, that's for you, but like we both live many lifetimes. I'm like, this one is hands down the most interesting. Like I don't know. Maybe it's the Aquarius thing.
I feel like it depends how you
Yeah.
define interesting. I find
Yeah.
interest in a lot of different things. Depends on the day.
I don't know. It's just fascinating, like the technological advances and like whether they could be used negatively and like destroy us, or if they're going to be used in a way to free us. Like it's just like there's so much. It's so rich.
What's funny to me is that's where your head goes about this, and for me, I go, how do I have a present day like pharaonic burial in 2021?
Yeah. It is really funny because you're so past like history minded, and I'm so like I'm in the future on another planet.
Yes. Yes.
Like I'm
absolutely.
not even here.
And we meet somewhere in the middle.
Well, I think we come back and connect. And we're like, why are you talking about 3,000 years ago? And she's like, why are you up in space?
Yes. Like, what's popping on the moon? But no, it's interesting. But like, that's how it is for us and our children, I think that being an indigo has a lot to do with being a millennial.
Yeah.
I feel like the indigos were born the millennials, and I feel like those rainbow and crystal kids are like Gen Z and like the modern generation, like the generation that our kids are. And it's crazy because it's like we're seeing this happen, like if you are familiar with indigo kids, that we're the children that were brought here to burn everything to the ground. And because it doesn't serve any of us in a societal way, even in relationships with each other and interpersonal things, if it don't work, we're taking a torch to it. Whereas
we're kind of anarchists.
Yes, fully.
Like a little bit.
Yes. But you know what? That's what's needed. If you look at what we're doing, it's scaled up to the point of we're getting civil rights back, like we're advancing there, like massively. We're taking control over our children's health and their education. We're taking control over what we feel like we're going to deal with our government and whatnot. Like there's societal things that are changing during our time, and it's because of that anarchist push and tendency that we carry, as indigos. Whereas I feel like Gen Z, they're here to build it back up, but in their image. They are going to make this like the Jetsons,
Yeah. You notice how they're just very different than us in that way, that like if we're anarchists and like we used to think that was so cool and still do. Sorry, I still do. And they're all like really about like working together and getting stuff like accomplished. And you're like, well, you're a kid. You're not supposed to be interested in that. So I'm like totally agreeing with you.
I notice a lot of them are very old souls that are coming back.
Yeah.
They're old souls that have really been there and have done a lot of work in their past lifetimes. And they've gotten to a point where they're like, we got to save these people now. Like they're going to start eating each other next. The earth is going to be a smoldering, ash if we don't step in. Like they're here to put us on track, because if it was, look at us now, we're like global warming, who, and
you mean as millennials?
I feel like even with some of the millennials, that there's that divide. Some of them are like, we got to do something, and other ones are like, what? There's no problem here, And I feel like for the kids are like, we want to be able to like walk outside and not have to wear hazmat suits. Like, can you guys chill? And, and I think that the more we work together, the more we understand each other, I think the better off this world is going to be. And I think that that's why these souls are coming back.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. I love that.
Yeah, no problem, Chico. You had a good time. I had a good time too with my time off, time to charge batteries and relax, chill out, garden like a fiend. and, get ready to do more work. We're glad that you guys came back and spent some time with us. For all of you who don't know, you probably should by now, I'm Athena. I do tarot readings, mediumship readings, and other spiritual services. My website is readingswithathenasilver.com. My Instagram is at athena.silver. My Facebook is Readings with Athena Silver. And my TikTok is at Athena_silver. What about you, Anja? How can they reach you?
So I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Anja River, ANJARIVER, and I do tarot card readings and past life regression, hypnotherapy.
Fantastic. We hope you guys join us next week at Rebel Crow Psychic Show channel on YouTube and on our website. We're going to be dropping another episode every Thursday, so keep in touch. And we hope you guys have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next week.
Bye.